Merry Christmas, everybody. From our house to your house. It may be 80 degrees outside, but it is still Christmas inside. Hello and welcome to Amory's workshop. I don't know what day of Vlogmas this is, but you are welcome. I love to make things. If you like to make things, please like, subscribe, and share. So on this day of Vlogmas, one of the things I needed for my Christmas celebration was I needed a runner for my dining room table. I collect certain ornaments and certain things for Christmas. I do angels, snowmen, and then family. And so I rotate them through the years. So when one thing is featured on the tree, it leaves boxes of other things that have to hide away for another Christmas. And guys, Christmas is not guaranteed that we'll have this time to get to be together. So I like to get my things out every year, see what's broken, see where I can tuck them in, if I can put them in a bedroom, something to bring the little memories, because it's really the time we spend together that's so precious and the reason for the season. So therefore, I need a runner for my dining room table because this year I'm going to move my collection of snowmen to the center of my table. My friend Melissa does that to a stunning effect with her. She collects snow globes and she puts them down her table. Oh, it's gorgeous. I don't have that many stuff, but doesn't mean I'm not going to try. So, if you saw my previous video, one of my making fabric out of your scrap fabric to use for different things, I made this piece of bargello fabric here, right? And I want to use that to be the center of my runner. So, as I said, I am going to use it as my base, and I'm going to start adding some other things to it, ribbons, border, or whatever, to fit my my runner requirements. I want it to be reversible. I want to have Christmas on one side, and then when Kwanzaa comes after Christmas dinner, I want to be able to put my snowman up, turn the border over, and be ready for Kwanzaa. Okay, so come along. Okay, first things first, I am using this neon yellow fleece as the center of the inside of my table runner. I'm trying to use the things I have and scraps and things like that. Now, I cut it to fit my table 12-inch by 48 inches. It could have been longer, but I want to be able to use it there and possibly use it on top of my piano for Kwanzaa. I realize now I'm going to need 2 runners because if I do this on the dining room table, I don't have a runner for the top of the piano. All right. Well, anyway, so I have selected, using the bargello fabric, but it is not wide enough. So I am adding this other scrap fabric I have that has Christmas ribbons that go all the way around and give me this nice little, almost like picnic table squares. And I'm going to be using a red bias binding. Now, my red bias binding, I've already started creating it. I will add a card here from my good friend Mari at Mari Sews Curves, and she has a wonderful video on how to make all the bias tape you will ever need. Now I have added a border, the checkerboard border, all the way around my runner. And I think what I'm going to add to this before I'm finished, I think I'm going to applique on some snowflakes. I think that would be a nice touch in white. And so that's what I'm going to add to it before I finally sandwich it together with my back piece. Now, if you have anxiety about creating applique pieces, there are lots of books. You can draw by hand. You can draw pictures of things that you want to put on your applique. I like this snowflake, but I don't think that's the one I want. I saw the one I want somewhere around here. I think it's in poster quilts. Hold on. Yeah, I think it's in this one. But what I'm trying to say is that you can find, yeah, I like these snowflakes as well. But we'll see which ones I use on this quilt. There's a plethora of ideas out there of things that you can applicate on your quilt, on your runner. Okay, so I decided to use Patrick Lowe's snowflakes. I like them the most. And also, on his pictures, his snowflakes budge up on a corner. So I really like this corner one, and I like this big one and this one. So I think those are the ones I'm going to use on this quilt. Okay, so now I'm going to use my, let me get the name of it right, and I'll put a link to it inside the descriptions. But this is my Steam Esteem 2. Let me look at it. Yeah, Steam Esteem 2. And what it is a double-sided adhesive, fusible adhesive. So you can steam it to, you can press it onto your fabric that you want to make an applique. And then when you're done, you can peel the pieces off and you can iron them onto the piece you're working, and it will hold it in place so that when you're doing your satin stitching around the edges, nothing will move. And so the tissue, you should be able to see your design beside it. But I'm going to be using my light box because the light box is not necessary, y'all. I'm just older. I need the help. You see I wear these big glasses. There's a reason. Now, what's great about the Steam Seam is that on one side of the paper, they put a finely lined yellow grid, and then on the other side is plain. So your pen and your marker will work so much better on the gridded side. I found that out the hard way. But there are instructions inside of the Steam Seam. You can use other brands, like you can go to Joann's or Michael's and find something that will work. It's just that Patrick Lowe's, who I follow, he recommended this product, so that's what I went with. Hi. So first thing I did was I trimmed all of the pieces for the snowflakes that I had traced, and so I need to put the snowflakes back together. So I'm using the original drawings that I used, the original templates that I used. So I'm going to be cutting this one. I cut this one out as well as the other one, and you can already see that I have ironed them on in place, because that's what's wonderful about this double-sided adhesive, is that after you set them in place, you can iron them in place, and then they'll be easier for you to applique. So this next one, I'm going to show you how it works. You can see where I traced it and then cut it out with my applique scissors, and then I peel off the paper part, and the adhesive part, or the fusible part, is attached to the back of the actual cloth. So I'm going to look at the picture and see that these hearts go right here. And so I can set them in place, and at this point, it's not permanent. So if I'm wrong, I can adjust it. So I'm going to go all the way around and put these hearts in place with the points out. I did one large snowflake here. Sorry, let me move my... One large snowflake here, one corner one here, one corner one here, and one big one here, and I'm going to put one over here. Now, you know, you're free to embellish. You may decide you don't even want to bother with adding any applique. You might just want to go as is, the way this is. But I'm really enjoying this. I think it's beautiful, and I love using up scrap material. So I don't mind doing this. So now that I've decided where I want it to be, I can set it with my iron for 10 seconds. And it won't move. And now I'll be able to embroider it, machine embroider, or you could raw edge stitch, which is like stitching just a little bit from the edge and letting the ends fray. But I think I'm gonna try and satin stitch all of these pieces. All right, so I satin stitched all my snowflakes onto my runner. And I'll show you some of them over here. You do not have to do all of this. I just wanted to do that. You can use ribbon. You can just go with your plain bargello. You can just use a plain Christmas fabric cut into the right shape for your runner. So now I'm going to sandwich it with my fleece and back it with my Kwanzaa fabric so I can make this reversible. So I can turn it over and I will have, isn't this beautiful for Kwanzaa? And I will turn it over and I will have to use it. Now this will go with my other runner, but I'm going to cut one the same width as this one. Okay, so today we're right back on it. It's time to sandwich our materials. There now, once I trim away the excess, I'm ready to change the presser foot on my sewing machine to a free motion presser foot so that I can stipple stitch and make a few designs around on top of the runner to secure the sandwich together before I put around the binding. I'm going to use a red stitch on the top's thread and red stitch in the bobbin because the other side of my runner can accommodate that. All right, see you soon. If you don't have one of these free motion attachments for your machine, you can go online and put in free motion machine and put in your model and brand of sewing machine, and there's lots of sewing machine parts stores that will have it. I bought my machine over 20-something years ago, so I was really surprised I didn't buy this with my machine. And I was able to get mine through, I think, Sewing Machine Parts. I will put the link below in the description box. Now, the stippling may be more than what you bargained for or what you like to make on your first or second project. It's a wonderful practice if you're a would-be quilter. It gives you an idea of the flow of how to move the needle and such. You can use it for pot holders and all sorts of different crafts. Maybe you just want to make little yarn ties on your first thing. Maybe you don't want to stipple at all. You just want to sandwich it together and attach it with the bias tape around the edge. It's entirely up to you. Remember, we want this project to be fun and lovely and memory-filled, not drive you crazy. I did a little bit of additional stitching on my checkerboard to kind of secure it on the back. So now I am ready to add my bias tape. And if you remember, I put a link or a card to Mari Sews Curves. She has a wonderful tutorial on how to make your own bias tape. So if you have your cotton and one of these, you can make bias tape out of any fabric that you have. Now I open up my binding on one side. Let me show you. I open up my binding on one side, and this is how I use this line to stitch to the edge of my runner on the opposite side. So for me, the opposite side is my Kwanzaa side. So I have attached, using this stitching line and exactly that much length, I have attached my binding because I want to wrap it around to the front and stitch along the very edge of this so I have more control about what is being seen. All right, I hope that makes sense. She is all done, and what's lovely about it is these are all leftover pieces of fabric repurposed to something I can really use. Holiday on one side and my Kwanzaa holiday on the other. So I can decorate my tabletop for the holidays and use up some leftover scraps. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, I did this over a couple of days. I did not sit there and do this all at one time and drive myself crazy. I did it in little increments, and believe it or not, it'll get finished. If it doesn't get finished for this holiday, then it'll get finished for the next holiday. But the important point is, have fun, enjoy creating, keep making, and we'll see you soon. Now look, I hope you enjoyed making this project, but if not, make this project with love. So if this is not the year that your fabulous runner is going to grace the table, this is a wonderful time of year if you have a couple of days off for you to actually make this project after the holidays. Nothing is better than unrolling yours and unpacking your stuff next year and finding something truly delightful that you have good memories of making when the movies were going and the hot chocolate was flowing, friends and family were over and were laughing and helping you cut things out, the kids were running around, and it's filled with so much more. Do not turn this into a 2 hours before Aunt Martha shows up and you want to have this runner on the table. Aunt Martha's not going to pay that much attention to it, and you need the sleep because there are cookies to be eaten. Happy Vlogmas and keep making.